Hey, starting the process for what probably will be a 400 card submission to CGC. The only thing like where I kind of stutter with that a little bit is we got the cards. I definitely know we have the cards. That's not really the issue. The issue is, one, if I can get them processed in time. Two, if they're all really be grade worthy. That's what the whole point of these videos are for me and for you. I really would have liked my initial 21 card order back by now, and I'm just gonna, go into the process of these while I'm talking. But sometimes you just gotta move forward. Like, the good news is, let's zoom in, like one at least. Again, I do need to print an inverse of the paper. So I have, of course, like, my concept of what PSAA grades look like. Maybe like an 8 or a 9. Again, still just doing this based on PSA grades. Cards we're sending to CGC. But I need to get this order prepped. Because, one, the video evidence, in case you ever run into an issue, it's always very important. And it's just good records tracking and understanding like what we expected in terms of grades. You know what's funny? This one probably definitely isn't worth sending in, because even as a PSA 9, Aerodactyl like only comps like $120. Do I think that will change? I'm not sure. I actually wasn't even really looking into what the pop count of it was. I'd have to kind of really re-look at that. But yeah, I took a PSA 9 with me, hollow fossil Aerodactyl, and just talk about actually like a really hard card to like trade or sell in any capacity, at least to the vendors that were there. Sell is really not the right word. It's more like I was just looking for some form of trade. So we had the whitening, and then we got kind of Nick. 8 to 9. I know the whitening seems egregious, but again, it's at a stronger zoom. So it's not as egregious as you think. And cards 9s are allowed to have whitening, guys, believe it or not. I think now the issue is PSA turned so many cards that would have been 10s into 9s. Everyone thinks that's what a 9's supposed to look like, and unfortunately that's not the reality of it. CGC, I am thinking that should CGC 9. Okay, now we're going to be really intent with our base set Alakazams, because we had issues in the past. Those print lines or those scratches, whatever, again, those are just scratches. They're not really as hard as you think they are. If the whole hollow foil was completely that would be really rough, but those onesies and twosies really aren't the end of the world. And again, the border's thick, but it's evenly thick, so centering actually is really good. Whitening, but honestly it's pretty minimal. Let me go to a one-time zoom. Whatever reason, it gets blurry real quick depending on where I have the setting at. Honestly, really minimal whitening. This one I would just say straight 9, to be honest. I don't think a 10's out of the realm for this, but like personally I wouldn't give it a 10. I have seen cards in worse shape get a 10, but I personally wouldn't give that card a 10. Okay. Vaporeon. Strong print line. Really good holographic though in general. Believe it or not, this whole kind of up curve thing actually isn't supposed to count against you, so I wouldn't get too worried about that, to be honest. Let me try and get this. gunk on the E. I do recommend that if you've got like solid gunk that you can remove yourself. I pretty much always recommend you at least do that because they're not going to do it for you, and they will count that gunk against you. And if it is just really stuck, it's probably not worth moving because it will probably rip off parts of the card. A lot of silvering, some silvering even on the element itself. Well, I guess that would just be a straight scratch if it's all the way off the border. It's kind of funny because usually when you have so much of that on the front, you'd expect a large amount of whitening. Honestly, really minimal whitening. Centering's a little off, not huge. I mean, top to bottom's where the difference is. Left to right's pretty much good. But yeah, it's a lot of silvering. It is really just one thin line of it. Silvering sticks out even more than whitening because of how it reflects. It's gotten wonky with, like, again, we're sending to CGC. PSA would be somewhere between a 6 and 7 on this. Honestly, probably a straight 7. I know that seems like a reach, but when you've sent enough cards and seen enough things, that's where I think PSA would be on it. So I'm gonna write 7, thinking, get a CGC 7. And I don't think that's too far out of reach. I think and it's not that necessarily PSA's raised the standards. Maybe it feels like that, but that's really not what they've been doing. And that's what people talk about. There's a loss of consistency, and it's not that people are generally complaining that they're not getting high grades. I don't think anyone necessarily has an actual problem with that. What they have is they have a problem with the consistency. And why that's such a big deal is if you can lock in, this is actually very minimal hollow scratching for this Brock, so far really good. But once you can start to hone in on, a very strong swirl, when you can start to hone in on these like conditions of cards, then buying raw cards isn't that bad, because then you're like, oh, I know what that card gets in this condition that I'm looking at. I do like to get stuff graded, so I'm going to buy it, and I know exactly what price to pay because I know exactly what grade I'm expecting to get. And the issues you have is when everyone expects a 10, they always want a 10 price. I would say the community's gotten a little bit better about that, to where they've done a pretty good job policing people in terms of who asked for 10 price when the card is raw, because that's kind of silly. And I get it, you can have a really, 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 really clean card. Like, we've had really clean cards on this channel, and we guessed they'd be a 10 because there really wasn't a reason why they shouldn't have been a 10, and then they 10'd. But there was still a risk that you'd get a 9 or maybe even lower, maybe an 8. And that's that consistency factor that drives people crazy. Geez, it's hard because we've got this little bit of dirt. I'll have to look at it off camera. Give me a second. This one, honestly, I could guess 10. The grime is killing me, the amount of little dirt specks I'm having to remove. But with no whitening and really no cornering issues, no centering issues, I actually would guess 10 on this Brock. So that is what I'm going to write down, to be honest. And so, yeah, the consistency really ruins it. And like, here's another way to look at it. So like, one, we haven't opened sealed in a while, and it's a lot to do with I just don't trust sealed anymore. And opening sealed, obviously, that's a gamble. It's not really an investment. It's not really a wise decision. And I just don't trust the whole sealer, scalper, people who use metal finder detector things. I don't like that. If I can't get my sealed for MSRP straight from the shelves of Walmart, oh, dang. Is that a bend or just like, oh, hi. That was just like some sort of oil from my hands from, I guess, a long time ago. What the heck? Okay, we're good. That was weird. Weird substance on the card. Oh, I hope I don't get like dinged for altered for there being a weird substance. Honestly, this could 10. Honestly, you know, I think it could CGC pristine 10, which would be nice. I'll just put 10. You know what? I'll put 10 plus because we think that's a possibility. Just something to keep in mind. So, to me, grading is like ripping open packs to me. That's why I like grading, even when I don't, you know if I'm gonna get a 10 or not, or even expect a 10. To me, half the fun is the guessing. And like that's when you open packs, you're guessing what you're going to get out of those packs. So for me, grading is my form of ripping. I would love to keep ripping. Unfortunately, we've definitely had some big L's. The biggest L was ripping open selling a sealed Plasma Storm ETB for $400 3 years ago, while those are now like $9,000 a pop. And also ripping one and pretty much pulling nothing instead of just holding on and selling both of those at $9,000 a pop. So yeah, that's a huge L. And that doesn't necessarily stop me from ripping. My main concerns with ripping nowadays, if I'm not getting it right off the shelves at MSRP, and I mean, I'm even saying about like local game stores. I don't buy sealed anymore. There's only one other way you'd get me to buy sealed, and even then, I'm not super ecstatic about it. And so, like if you got me to buy heavies at like a card show, but here, oh god dang, oh motherfucker. And see, this drives me crazy because this was sold to me as near mint by a vendor at a card show, and look, if someone seems like they're wanting to move something pretty fast, there's a reason why. Yeah. I'm not certain where this falls under, because typically creases are from the edge. This is already like in the card itself. It's really unfortunate. I had my hands full, and and the lighting honestly in that show was pretty shit. Oh, that's upsetting. It's not deep, but it is noticeable. Even when you don't have it under this super strong white light, man, I honestly don't know what to give it. And I bought all 3 of these birds from them at the same time. So now let's see if. And honestly, it could be an honest mistake. I'm not going to immediately be like la la la, and I'm not going to go hunt somebody down over these. And based on what I'm seeing, I think it was an honest mistake. They probably got them from somebody. They probably did a quick glance, and they probably just flipped them right back to me that day. That is unfortunate. The others I would put at 10. This, if it wasn't for that, I'd put it 10. I honestly have no idea what to put because of this. You know, PSA, I'd say 5. CGC, I don't know how they're going to, and I know I'm supposed to be guessing based on PSA standards, but really that's just accounting for like the normal stuff. I don't really know how to account for this. That's really rough. That's really, 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 really rough. Shoot, I guess I'll just have to go with freaking PSA. And that's rough because the other two look like they're going to 10. And so, not my favorite. I mean, good for the other two. Really annoying because I was trying to get these sequentially graded. I mean, they'll still be sequential, but it's pretty much going to defeat the whole point of doing them sequentially if they're not also all the same grade. Honestly, fingers crossed that the grader misses it. I guess you could say that's part of my strategy. Overwhelm them to where it's hard for them to grade accurately, I guess. Okay, now here's a good one. I really gotta keep my eye out. Yeah, we're on the right one. Special delivery, Charizard, hollow. Centering makes me say PSA 9 for sure. The hollow, fantastic. I mean, just pretty much scratch free. It's not that old of a card. Well, actually, it's a 6-year-old card now. Some small dings. 8 to 9. And I'd be more confident in that if the centering wasn't how it is. And if it was just the centering, if we didn't at least have these two top dings, that does kind of ruin things. I paid 180. It's not the end of the world. Actually, I don't even know if I paid 180. I think I paid less. I think that's just a sticker from something else. Cope in the chat. I don't do well at guessing these. At least with PSA, I never did. Really clean front, in my opinion. Very minimal whitening. There's some more right there. Some along the edges. So this one I'm not going to guess on the PSA standard. I actually have one of these already graded as a CGC 9. And honestly, I'm going to guess, I'm going to even make a note. I'm going to guess CGC 9. I think I paid 20 bucks for that card, so that as a CGC 9 would be a pretty good win. This is a super clean Neo Kingdra, at least on the front. Maybe I'll find a lovely surprise on the back. Very minimal silvering. Honestly, that silvering would still be actually close to a 10. That sounds silly, but I'm letting you know now that you'd still be borderline 10. And that's a very clean back. I'm going to say 10. I wouldn't say a high 10, but I would say 10. And some of you might be booing like, there's no way if it had silvering, but I have seen cards that have had whitening that have gotten 10s. I've seen cards with dings that have gotten 10s, Pikachu Illustrator, Logan Paul. So yeah, it's not impossible, and that itty bitty bit of silvering on a vintage card is almost like just considered patina. So Electivire, another pickup from the show. Let's do it. 2x. Little corner ding. Just the one. Everything else seems to be pretty well intact. Very minimal whitening. This one, I'd say 8 to 9, but honestly still leaning more towards 9. Some of you might be baffled by that. Centering on the front, top to bottom, is not exactly phantasmal, but honestly, it'd probably be 8, but I'm still going to go ahead and be hopeful and write that 9. Got a Delta species Zubat. To me, one of my favorite things about these stamped cards is that they did them to even the commons. And people get kind of loosey-goosey with what near mint is. This was labeled as near mint. I guess technically, one little thing so far. But I like that they did, like, you know, these designs in hollow and the stamp, even on the common cards. Some whitening, some whitening. Yeah, I could agree this was near mint. Honestly, just with that one ding and the itties bitties of whitening, I would probably argue a 9. And now why I agree this near mint, don't forget, near mint is technically PSA 7. Look that up. PSA 7 is near mint. So, yeah, I think, I agree. I think that was near mint. Oh boy. Okay. I do have this written down because I honestly didn't know much about this card. I basically bought it because I liked it, which is probably, like, if you talk to anyone who's actually been doing this for a while, that's actually probably the best advice. I would just say 10. That's probably the best advice, is buy what you like. You don't even really have to understand it, to be honest. Because if you're buying what you like you genuinely like, there's a good chance other people will also genuinely like it. And if that's the case, you're going to be buying something that other people are hunting, and it's going to have more and more people seeking it, and it's going to be, you know, have a stronger and stronger demand as that supply goes out. I bought both those cards from this Gyarados and that Kabutops from the same vendor. Again, I'd probably just say 10 on that. I'd also say don't shy away from Japanese cards. I think Japanese cards are fantastic. Honestly, and to me they're just as nostalgic because I had Japanese cards. You know, even of my era, like this one. Also picked up at the card show. Picked this up for 10 speckles. Itty bitty bits of stuff, but just the tiniest bit. You have to remember we are very strongly zoomed in right now. Oh, just itious bittious. But it's on both sides. I'd probably just say 9 flat. That one's a tough one. It really is. Oh, it's a tough one. I wanted that as a 10. I genuinely thought that would 10. Okay. This isn't really a card that I usually see. So I thought it was cool, picked it up. E-Series, holographic, one that you don't really hear too many people talk about, to be honest. Wasn't a crazy price. There's one good whitening nick. Honestly, could still 9. I'll say 8 to 9. But honestly, could still 9 from that. I don't think it's a 10 by any means, but I do think it could honestly still 9. But we'll say 8 to 9 so we don't look foolish. Definitely won't say 10, just I think, you know, you're ever so right so to think I'm foolish. I remember correctly, this Flareon actually wasn't pristine, but it wasn't bad. So nice holographic Cosmos. Yeah, we got some stuff right there, some stuff right there. Pop series cards, which I had said in a good bit older video that was probably at this point a year, maybe a year plus. I was saying I think Pop series are really going to have a strong following, and now we're starting to see that. Oh yeah, the back for sure is honestly probably just 7. Um, 7 might be giving it more credit than I should have. I probably shouldn't have picked this one up, but you know, you just get going, and I think you can see that. Look at that. See how, and this is how people love to do their photos on eBay and Marketplace. And then as soon as I go like this, it's very evident. And look, as my finger follows it. Now I bought this card in person, but I'm just getting at when you're buying cards on eBay, or if you want to save yourself a trip, if you have to drive out on Facebook Marketplace, have them do the card photo on a black background. And almost everyone has access to some sort of black background, black t-shirt, black socks, a black binder. It'll save you a trip. And if they don't want to do it, that's a pretty good sign to not do that, deal with them. This technically isn't the first set of 20. I have others. But I will label this as prepping for a 400 plus card submission. And that's going to be me flying in. I really don't feel comfortable mailing 400 plus items like that. When you start to consider these, not all of them, but you know, some of them will be several hundred, some of them will be 50, some of them will be 100, some of them will be 200, some of them will be 20, some of them will be 1,000. It gets really scary really quick with all that in the mail, and then just the cost alone and the time. I can actually save time. This will force me to buy the higher tier at CGC, which will actually get me a significant discount. Over the course of this submission, it will essentially 100% pay for itself. I have to make some phone calls to CGC, and I can burn some info, but I do need to fly these in. And if you have any questions or something you'd like to see, let me know.